Hello Stud-Scribers, Red Suit Studs here, and today we got something in the mail that's going to make a fine addition to my collection. Let's crack this box open and see what it is. So the contents of this package here are not as much of a surprise to me as they are to you, the viewer here, because I actually bought this very impulsively a couple days ago. I really did not need it. I know I had actually mentioned something about this on my channel a couple months ago that I didn't need it and I was just going to wait and maybe get it eventually, but I finally broke down and I got myself the Bo-Katan Black Series helmet. I've always loved Bo-Katan's helmet in Star Wars, and this one is no exception. It's a little bit different than the one that I own, as mine was a custom made by Kybercraft, which is like a Russian cosplay company. But I also just really wanted the official version here just to have for my collection. And it's also a little bit different, because I believe mine that I have before this one was actually kind of more based on the Clone Wars appearance, and this one here is kind of more based on her appearance in The Mandalorian. So there's a little bit more weathering than it has on my version. Also the rangefinder lights up on this version and it can kind of be dropped down with a button. So it's a little bit different than mine. So I was really happy to kind of get this one here because I actually found it for about 20% off on Amazon. So I don't know if that's still going on, but when I got it, it was. So it was a nice pickup for a little bit cheaper than usual. So you can see here, of course, there's the typical Black Series packaging with a real nice presentation here with the images on the side and everything. I've always loved their packaging, and they've made it a lot better in the recent years too, where they really slim down the boxes and really make it nice and compact so you don't have some big box sitting in your closet forever. They really slim it down to make it as small as possible while also still protecting the helmet on the inside. So speaking of the helmet on the inside, let's crack this bad boy open and check it out. So it looks like with this helmet, they actually wrap it in some paper here as well. I've actually never gotten a Black Series helmet that is this wrapped up here. Usually they have some protection on the inside with some cardboard and some foam, but I've never actually had it wrapped up like this. So this is kind of a nice way to make sure it stays protected in there. And then of course we have the instructions here too on how to kind of put in the rangefinder there and adjust the head strap. And then you can also flip the rangefinder down there, just kind of showing you how to do that there. So it looks like we'll need a AAA battery, but we can grab that later. So for now, let's just open up this helmet and get the rangefinder on. So actually it turns out here, looks like we won't be able to put on the rangefinder until we actually put that battery in there, because it kind of has a compartment on the inside here that you need to put it all together at once in order for it to work. So we'll just have to put the AAA in right away and then we can get the rangefinder on there. Alright, so simple as that. We have our rangefinder on, so let's put it on my head and see how it fits here. Alright, so now that we got the helmet on here, it actually fits pretty nice. It's actually a lot lighter than I expected it to be. Some of the Black Series helmets are kind of heavy, but this one's pretty thin and pretty light, so it's real easy to turn my head, and it's nice and tight on my head that when I turn my head it doesn't kind of like jiggle at the end there with the weight. So it's actually fitting pretty nice, and I didn't even have to adjust the straps yet, so I might even do that yet and it might be even a little bit better. So this is pretty good as far as a fit so far. I will say though, and this is just the case of Bo-Katan's helmet, this isn't any knock to the designers or anything, it is really hard to see out of here just because of this notch. I mean, Mandalorian helmets are already pretty hard to see out of. And so just having that T-visor, really all you have is just right here, but you do get some visibility here. It's just that with this extra little notch here, with this little triangle shape, it's just really hard to see kind of right in front of you a little bit because it's kind of covering. But it still looks really cool with that design. That's one of the reasons why I like Bo-Katan's helmet so much, is because of how cool her T-visor is on the helmet. But it's just not very easy to see out of, but it is a cool design choice for sure. And then of course we have our rangefinder here with the button on the side here. You just push this and it goes down here, and then we have the little dots here. And then you can also see that on the inside here there's actually some lights that light up kind of like a targeting computer, like how you kind of saw with Boba Fett's helmet in The Mandalorian Season 2, how he kind of targets those ships It kind of has that same targeting system on the inside of the rangefinder here. And then you just kind of push it back up and it locks into place. And actually, in comparison to the Boba Fett helmet that came out a couple years ago, this rangefinder is a lot nicer because it drops a lot easier, and when it goes down, it doesn't kind of bounce because of the weight. It just kind of goes up, and then you push it, and it goes straight back down. So it's overall a lot of what I'm noticing with this helmet is that it's a lot more lightweight than some of the other ones. It's not as clunky, which is really nice, and I really like how it just clicks right back into place there. And the button on the side is bigger too than the one on Boba Fett's helmet. And I do really like a lot of the wear and tear that's on this helmet with the scratches and scoring that's kind of all throughout the helmet. It makes it give like a really lived-in feel, kind of like how worn Bo-Katan's helmet is at this point in the timeline of Star Wars, where it's a lot of more beaten down scratches and whatnot all along the cheeks and whatnot. So it's really nice to have a lot of that added detail there. But now that we've seen this one, let's compare it to my other version that I have, my Clone Wars version from Kybercraft. So let's check it out. So this here is my Kybercraft version of Bo-Katan's helmet, and I believe this one is based on Season 7 of Clone Wars. She shows up in Season 4, and her helmet's a little bit different than this. I don't think all the markings, like the owl eyes here, are on the helmet at that point, so I believe this is the Season 7 appearance. And you can see that right off the bat, it doesn't have as much scoring and scratches. It still has some, but not as many as the Black Series version here. Since, once again, this is kind of an earlier helmet like in the Clone Wars, and a lot of years have passed with this version here, so this one's obviously a little bit more damaged, a little bit more scarred, and this one is kind of more fresh since it's like 20 or so years in the past with this version here. And other than that, it is pretty similar to the Black Series version. It's a really good replica. They do great work over at Kybercraft, so definitely go check them out. They make great helmets. I have a bunch of Clone Trooper ones from them, but I believe this was the first helmet I ever bought from them, was this Bo-Katan one here, because I didn't think that they would be making a Black Series version, but then of course she showed up in Season 2 of The Mandalorian, and her character got more popular, which was nice, so then they made a version for Black Series. But I got this one because I didn't think they would make one, so then I had kind of an extra here now. But I do like the differences between the two, kind of an earlier look and a later look. But I have a bunch of Clone Trooper ones from them, and they have really good helmets for those too. But this was the first one I ever got, and it's really comfortable too. As comfortable as this one is here, this one has a lot more padding than that version there. It has a lot of like felt and foam on the inside here, so if you're looking for a helmet that you're going to wear for an extended period of time, this is definitely probably the better version. As cool as this one is here, I think the difference here is just kind of comfortability versus functionality with the Black Series helmet, because with the rangefinder here, it drops down with the lights. This one here, you just kind of have to push down and then you push it back up, and there's no lights or anything. So at least there is a working rangefinder, but in order to do all the lights and stuff like that, a lot more computer chips and electronics and stuff would have to be involved, and this would definitely be a more expensive helmet. I believe when I got this one, it was about $250. But I think they might have changed the prices in their helmets by this point, because I know a lot of materials are getting more expensive to make these kinds of helmets, like plastics and stuff like that. And so I know this one was $250 when I got it. The Black Series version is about $120, $130. So there is a pretty big price difference, but I think if you're looking for that comfortability, it's definitely worth it to get the Kybercraft version here. I think it's just kind of comes down to whether you want all the doodads with the Black Series version and kind of a different look with the Mandalorian version, although I'm pretty sure they have a revised version with a Mandalorian look as well at this point. So you could go either way. It just kind of depends on what exactly you're looking for. So with all that being said, let me know in the comments if you like the Black Series or the Kybercraft version more. Don't forget to Stud-Scribe, and thanks for watching.